The female teacher never expected that there would be a student with such a large head in her class. This scene scared her. After wiping her glasses and looking at Morihito again, she saw that one of his arms was ridiculously big. This bizarre scene was obviously caused by Nico. Nico was a rare witch in the world. She appeared very cute on the outside, but in reality, she loved to prank people. After completing her witch training, Nico was supposed to form a contract with some animal to become her familiar. However, she had a different idea. She wanted Morihito to be her familiar. Morihito was shocked when he heard this. He remembered how, as a child, he had been tortured by Nico's various magical spells. Even now, thinking about it made him afraid. He had been calm for a few years while waiting for Nico to go to the sacred land for her training. Morihito never imagined that as soon as Nico returned, she would make him feel so terrified again. But he couldn't refuse, because his ancestors were the first familiars and had an ancient pact with Nico's family. Therefore, Morihito had no choice but to comply. Though he was called a familiar, he was supposed to protect Nico. Since her mother had to stay in the sacred land and couldn't return, and Morihito's father had to travel abroad, Morihito would have to live with Nico from now on. When Morihito heard this news, he was shocked again. But later, he thought about it. He hadn't seen Nico for many years. They had made a promise as children to meet again, and now that the time had come, Morihito was a bit excited. He didn't know what Nico had become. Nico suddenly appeared right in front of Morihito. Halfway through flying, she lost her balance and fell. Morihito was curious, and when he saw her clearly, he realized it was Nico. Nico had kept her promise and met Morihito. Now, she had become an outstanding witch. She asked Morihito to clean up the room first. Morihito was really stunned. Though he had prepared himself, he didn't expect that, upon their first meeting, Nico would cause such a huge mess. While Morihito was thinking this, Nico, embarrassed, wanted to help clean up, but Morihito stopped her. He thought she must be very tired from the long journey, and suggested she sit down and rest, then eat some cookies he had just baked. Nico looked at Morihito, who was so thoughtful and mature, and immediately fell for him. She had already thought about what to name their children. When she saw Morihito throw the glass shards out, she suddenly remembered that she had a healing spell, but it needed a medium. The best one would be Morihito's most beloved possession. Morihito didn't think much of it and took out his favorite mug. Then Nico performed the healing spell right there. After a while, the glass was restored to its original shape. However, before Morihito could praise Nico, the next second, his beloved mug shattered. This was the result of the offering. Nico, pleased with herself, didn't realize that Morihito now wanted to kill her. When Nico showed a sad expression, Morihito softened. After all, at least the glass was fixed. Morihito started praising Nico, which made her blush. Now, she wanted to show Morihito more of her magic. Morihito told her not to use magic anymore, but then Nico suddenly remembered she had a spell that could make things thinner. However, after the earlier experience, she decided to cast the spell on herself. The result was absurd. In the next second, Nico turned into a paper-thin figure. The sight startled Morihito, and before he could ask her to change back, a gust of wind blew through, and Nico was carried through the door, floating away. Morihito immediately chased after her, but a worse situation occurred. Nico, due to the rapid shaking of her vision, felt extremely nauseous and immediately threw up. Morihito had no time to feel disgusted. Now Nico, guided by the wind, slipped between two cracks in the wall. This was a real problem because Morihito's hand couldn't reach in. Plus, with Nico's shrinking magic soon about to end, she might die right there. Fortunately, a man appeared at that moment. Though he had always been Morihito's enemy, in a time of danger, Morihito asked him for a vacuum cleaner. However, this man was not easily persuaded. Morihito had always relied on his demon heritage